December 2017, Norway announced it would purchase 24 K9 Thunder self-propelled howitzers from South Korean firm Hanhwa for $215 million, with an option for up to 24 more in the future. The K9 edged out an upgraded M109 howitzer offered by the Swiss firm RUAG and the German Panzerhaubitze 2000, which has a similar main gun and performance profile, but a slightly faster rapid-fire rate compared to the K9. However, the PZH 2000 is considerably more expensive. This marks just the latest success of the South Korean howitzer system, which is already serving with Turkey and will soon enter service with 3 other NATO countries, as well as India and Finland. South Korea itself will have more than 1,200 of these guns deployed by 2019, to face down their intimidating North Korean counterparts along the mountainous demilitarized zones that separate the two states. The turret on the 52-ton K9 mounts a huge 155mm howitzer with a long .52 caliber barrel that can strike targets up to 26 miles away, or as far as 35 miles using rocket-assisted projectiles. The vehicle's 5-man crew is fully enclosed with protection from ambient nuclear, biological and chemical hazards, and protected by 19mm of steel armor, just enough to deflect heavy machine gun rounds and shrapnel, but not anything heavier. A .50 caliber machine gun on the turret offers a modicum of air and close defense capability. South Korea designed the K9 to operate on the rugged mountains of the demilitarized zone with North Korea, and accordingly gave it advanced hydro-pneumatic suspension to overcome the rocky terrain. Despite weighing more than the US-built M109 Paladin, which has been in widespread use across the globe since the 1960s, the K9 is faster, has a higher power-to-weight ratio thanks to its 1,000-horsepower engine, and has a nearly 40% greater operational range of 300 miles before requiring refueling. While the gun isn't stable enough to be fired on the move, it can be deployed for firing in just 1 minute. The gun uses an automatic feed mechanism to reduce the burden on the 2 loaders and the crew. It is capable of rapid firing 3 rounds in just 15 seconds using its multiple round simultaneous impact mode, allowing a modernized version of the World War II tactic known as time on target. Operational research has shown that artillery is deadliest during the opening moments of barrage, when the targets are likely out in the open and unaware of the incoming attack, then declines steeply in effectiveness as adversaries hunker down into cover. By timing the shells in an opening salvo to land simultaneously before the enemy is aware they are incoming, they are likely to inflict far greater damage. The Thunder can carry up to 48 shells, and is resupplied by K-10 ammunition resupply vehicles, which can transfer up to 104 more rounds via an automated bridge that does not require the crew to expose themselves to fire. The K-10 uses the same hull as the K-9 for maintenance commonality. The Thunder's mobility, fast deployment time and MRSI capability make it well suited for delivering brief but deadly fires and then rapidly redeploying to new firing positions to avoid retaliatory counter-battery fire. The K9 actually first saw action with the Turkish army, in the form of a license-built variant called the T-155 Fırtına. The Fırtınas were first employed in a cross-border incursion targeting Iraqi Kurdish PKK forces in 2007, and later were heavily engaged in attacks on Kurdish and ISIS forces across Turkey's border with Syria. However, ISIS fighters filmed themselves knocking out 3 Fırtınas at Gaziantep using Medewa-guided anti-tank missiles in April 2016. Turkey currently possesses at least 300 T-155s, and has exported 36 to Azerbaijan, where they may see use in its on and off again war with Armenia. South Korea's K-9s saw their own baptism by fire under less than auspicious circumstances on the afternoon of November 23, 2010, at Yeonpyeong Island, at the extreme western tip of the north-south border. Apparently feeling provoked by a South Korean naval exercise earlier in the morning, North Korean artillery based in the Komori Peninsula and on the tiny island of Mudo began an indiscriminate hour-long bombardment of Yeonpyeong Island, killing 2 civilians and 2 Korean Marines, and wounding 22 more. The battery of 6 Thunders located on the island eventually responded, but 2 had their fire control systems damaged by the attack and could not fire, while a third was temporarily jammed but was brought into action. The active K-9s fired 80 shells targeting the barracks on Mudo Island. Because the howitzers had exhausted most of their onboard ammunition during an earlier exercise, Korean Marines were soon forced to manually reload them. South Korean intelligence estimated the counter-battery fire resulted in 35 to 40 killed or wounded, while North Korea denied sustaining any losses. The Korean DMZ bears the risk of erupting into an intense artillery war, and South Korea is currently working on producing a new version of the K-9 with an automatic turret, reducing the crew size to only 2. Countries in Northern and Eastern Europe are also seeking to improve their artillery capabilities due to Russia's more aggressive posture in the region. Even Estonia, with its tiny population of 1.2 million, is planning to acquire 12 Thunders by 2021 to increase the costs of a hypothetical Russian invasion. Poland, meanwhile, is even building a domestic version of the K9 called the AHS Crab, which uses the turret of a British AS-90M Braveheart howitzer. Warsaw plans to have 5 regiments totaling 120 Crabs, of which one is already operational. Further north, Finland announced in February 2017 that it was acquiring 48 used Thunders. And far away in India, 100 K9 Vajra Ts optimized for desert environments will be domestically manufactured with an option for 50 more, replacing outdated and smaller caliber Abbott and 2S1 self-propelled howitzers. The Vajras are the first modern addition to India's undersized self-propelled artillery force. The U.S. military has placed decreasing importance on artillery until recently, as armored howitzer systems are heavy and difficult to deploy and resupply across the globe into an active theater. But for countries facing potential adversaries on their borders, artillery can respond much more rapidly, sustainably and cheaply than air power. Improvements in technology now allow greater range and accuracy than before. This, combined with relatively affordable price, may explain why the advanced Korean howitzer is experiencing a surge in popularity.